Okay, so today we are going to start with a consideration of what are the different objectives that the firms might have. But before that, of course, we will look at the theory of the firm in economics. And in economics, the theory of the firm says that the firm exists in order to combine resources to produce goods and services. Now, this is something that we already know. However, what is the advantage of producing goods and services inside a firm? That is the main thing. Now, what the firm does is it internalizes transactions. Okay, it internalizes transactions and thereby reduces the cost of production. Now, what do you mean by internalizing transaction? Now, let's say I have raw material, okay, and I want to convert that raw material into a semi-finished item. Like I have cloth, and I want to dye the cloth and convert it into a colored piece of clothing which can be used further. Now, if I have a dyer inside my firm, then I do not have to go out of the firm and request someone to do it for me. I already have a person. So, as soon as I require a work to be done, I can go to him and he will get the work done for me. He is not going to charge me extra every time I give him some work to do. What I will do is I will hire him for a month for a fixed salary, and then he can work for me throughout the month. Thereby, for a reasonable amount, I can get a lot of work done from him, especially if his productivity is high. So that way, by internalizing these transactions, by internalizing these uh, people who do the work, firms reduce transaction costs. And that's a very important thing in economics, because the more your costs are reduced, the more your productivity and efficiency is increased. So please keep in mind that the goals of the firm may be many, but the primary goal of the firm is one. The primary goal of the firm is to maximize the wealth or the value of the firm itself. Please do keep in mind that all institutions, whether they are business or other institutions, they might start off with very high and sublime objectives, but at the end of the day, they start existing for their own sake. And business firms are no different. Okay, the final objective of the firm is to maximize its own wealth by maximizing its profit and its revenues. Okay, so please do keep in mind that from an economic point of view, the primary goal is to maximize the wealth of the firm. Once again, let's look at what the transaction costs are. The transaction costs, the reduction of transaction costs comes from the idea of reducing inefficiency. You do not want to enter into one contract after another in order to make use of land, labor, and capital and other resources. No, you bring the resources inside the firm, and thereby you reduce the um, reduce the cost of production. Now, if you sign a contract with a resource, you sign a contract with a worker. Okay, this is way less costly than trying to enter into different contracts with different parties. All right, and thereby you are saving your costs and increasing your profitability. Okay, so this is that's not. However, there are some alternative theories as well to what the goal of the firm might be. There are some alternative theories, and why are there alternative theories? Because the theory of maximizing profit and maximizing shareholder wealth can sometimes be very, very unrealistic. What about a new firm? Let's say, what about a new firm which enters the market? Uh, like Amazon.com. Amazon.com is the most profitable company in the world. But what happened when it entered the market the first time? What was its goal? Was its goal the maximization of profit, the maximization of the value of the firm? No, at that point in time, it would have been highly unrealistic of this firm to set profit maximization as its ultimate goal, as its primary goal. Okay, so what goal did they have at that point in time? What goal did Amazon have in 1995-96 when it entered the market? The goal was not to maximize profit, but to maximize sales and to get a how should I put it, a market share through which it could increase its revenues in the future and get long-term profitability. So, and that is exactly what the firm did, and it became one of the largest, in fact, the most profitable firm in the world. So, so that is another objective. So what we are saying here, that just using profit maximization or maximizing the value of the firm might be a very narrow objective. Okay, then there are other objectives as well, like maximization of utility. Okay, but please do keep in mind, what does utility mean in economics? Utility means satisfaction. But notice the word that we are using here. The word that we are using here is not just utility. This is not consumer utility. This is not consumer satisfaction. This is satisfaction which arises for the management. This is the management utility. And why does that happen? Because in the modern corporate structure, there is what is called a divorce between ownership and control. The owners are different, the managers are different, and these managers then want to engage in behavior which satisfies them, which satisfies their objectives. Okay, so that is also one of the objectives. Now, it can be argued whether that's a good objective or a bad objective, but that is one of the objectives of the firm. I can give you a classic example of this. Uh, for example, when the airline giant Boeing, when it went out of business, uh, a lot of people suffered, but the managers of the firm, the directors of the firm, they walked away with hefty packages, which were rewarding, and no one asked them, why you getting all this when the company uh, went into bankruptcy on your watch. The same thing happened with Enron in 2000, when the Enron company went bust, and people, uh, the managers suffered less and the shareholders suffered more. Although the purpose of the firm is to maximize its wealth for the shareholder. Okay, so now let's look at the various models of the various models through which these objectives are derived. So when we are talking about the sales maximization model, let's look at the sales maximization model, and it comes from the theory of William Baumol. Okay, he studied the firms and he said that larger firms, especially, he mainly opined about the larger firms. He said that the larger firms especially love to remain at a very high level of sales. Okay, and why is that? It's because the high level of sales keeps them more secure. They believe that they can get better deals because if they are selling more, they are producing more. So they also remember, increase in sales determines the rate at which you are growing. So that also determines their size. So if their size is more, then what happens? They will get economies of scale. They are going to get purchasing economies. They are going to get financial economies. They are going to get the best employees, because people will be willing to work for such large firms. Okay, so there is, and also please keep one thing in mind, that higher sales will mean that executives will get better salaries because the revenues are higher, so they can get better salaries. And also, after all the payments and everything, the leftover, the bottom line profits may also be high. This was the theory given by William Baumol, but how much has this been proved correct? Well, the results are mixed. Okay, results are mixed. The research, um, a lot of case studies and a lot of research done on Bomo's model have actually found that in many cases that may not be true. Okay, and that will take us to the other uh, model uh, of the objectives of the firm, and how and what the theory of the firm says about objectives. So that is something that we will be discussing very shortly. Thank you very much.